Reflections on Trump's executive orders. Since January 20, 2025, when the second Trump era began, there have been several news stories about the executive orders he signed. The fact that the USA has continued to be a proxy state under the auspices of the Zionist Jews since the World Wars cannot be overemphasized. Thus, when Trump or any other US president makes decisions, there is always controversy around what interest it is for or against. Take a look at some of Trump's executive orders. Some are quite surprising, and some actually beg for answers on the actual intent, support or revolt against the system. For instance, one of the most dramatic executive orders was the withdrawal from WHO. By implication, the health sector will be in the hands of the US Ministry of Health. The WHO will no longer guide health policies. The organization, as it's known, was founded by and has done the bidding of globalists. In 2020, the same organization confined the world to homes and caused people to die from its byproducts. If the USA, being the highest donor, cuts its funding, will it affect its operations? And COVID-19 all caused the hullabaloo of taking jabs or not. The Trump government has ordered the reinstation and compensation of military personnel suspended for not taking vaccinations. This is just another challenge against the globalist agenda as the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement. Trump and his support base are known not to buy the impositions of pro-climate. Thus, based on the executive orders, we see a slip to fossil fuels, not alternative energy, being promoted. There will be no oil ban on production and consumption. Thus, since there will be no alternative energy or environmentally friendly energy projects, there will be less stress on energy prices. Production of diesel and petrol cars will continue. Electric vehicles will not be imposed on anyone. Those who want will drive the car they want. This all comes as production will be encouraged to reduce unemployment and increase production in the USA. Trump's American First agenda also reflects his care for the country's security. The legal status of drug cartels and pedophile gangs will change, and they will henceforth be included in the list of terrorist organizations. Is this expected to be a blow to those who control human trafficking? In order to protect the U.S. identity, the borders will be closed for a proper immigration system. Not only the borders are feeling Trump's waves, but somewhat trade and cash flow too. Foreign dependency will be reduced, and production and farming will be increased. The requirement to produce in the USA was introduced as importation will not be business as usual. Several tariffs will be imposed on products not made in the USA. The social structure of the USA is also changing with Trump's executive order. The United States would no longer recognize trans. The regime of genderless, imposed by the EU and supported by the UN, is over. Among other things, Trump's orders were the declassification of files related to the assassination of former U.S. President John Kennedy, postponing the TikTok ban for 75 days and the abolishment of the right to citizenship by birth. Freedom of expression will not be censored. Thus, it becomes easier to expose everything that vested interests do. Undoubtedly, if some of these decisions can be implemented, the human generation will be saved. The hoaxes of the climate agreement, the inconsistencies of WHO, interest, and LBGT have been distractions to humanity. Thus, with Trump's victory, humanity actually won a little bit. Allah indeed does humanity goodness in the hands of tyrants. But then, all these may be challenging for Trump. He had attempted some of these things in his first tenure. However, he was stopped by the release of a virus from China, which truncated world affairs, thanks to the WHO policies. Today, there are two main issues that these imperialists feed on. One is arms sales, which will stop with the end of the Ukraine war. The second is the pharmaceutical industry. The world pharmaceutical industry earns $1.5 trillion. These barons will not be able to sell drugs and weapons as they please. For now, their bread will be cut, but this story will not end here. Trump's team is also capitalist and bloodsucking. He may be a good US nationalist, but he is a merchant. On the Muslim side, whoever is the leader does not really matter. The system is controlled by specific interests, after all. But then, the Muslims need to reevaluate their affairs to conquer this system. Hence, Allah says, "Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves." Surah Ra'd 13:11.